Hello everybody, welcome back to Seltzertronics. I am the Seltzertron. Today I'm here to review the very impressive Hyland Audio Saturn One headphones. Now I came of these, I saw a post on Facebook in a Facebook audio group from Alex Hyland of Hyland Audio. Says some of these are going to be going out for review. Just asked anybody to respond. I got my name in as quickly as I could, and I got these sent to me. And I'm very happy to review them. So, what about these Hyland Audio Saturn One headphones? They come in a very nice wooden box. Come with lots of nice accessories, including extra ear pads and a certificate of authenticity indicating that these are in fact made of zebrana wood around the cups. You see here, here's the default ear pad, and you have some extra on ears, over ear versus on ear. Comes with a silver plated copper cable. The cables are terminated in a not standard 2.5 millimeter mono, and it's terminated, has a nice little wooden yoke here. Very nice, very classy, terminating in a 3.5 millimeter. Basic build and design. They are 40 millimeter driver, very open, extremely light. We have a nice leather headband that seems to be wrapping around maybe some kind of flexible aluminum. The ear cups rotate. I guess you can tighten them. There's just a hex screw in there, and they are adjustable with the screw. They do lock into place. You loosen the screw and you adjust the headphone to where you like it, and then you tighten that back up. Very, very light, all aluminum. There is no plastic on here at all. It is aluminum, wood, foam, and driver. That's all. These are very artisanal. In fact, yeah, these are artisanal headphones. As I understand correctly, just maybe a few hundred of these headphones are going to be made. So they're pretty interesting and rare piece if you're interested. The first thing I notice about them is they are vaguely evocative of Grado headphones. Grado headphones are known for being light. They are, well, I think probably mostly they have a very Grado-like ear cup and very light, very easy to wear, very easy on the head. Alex, I believe, got his start originally modifying Grado headphones and then eventually making his own headphones with Grado drivers. I don't know if he still uses Grado drivers. I believe he uses something else now. I don't know what it is, but that's how he got his start, and his early headphone designs were inspired by Grado. The Saturn One is the most open set of cans I have ever heard. They are, of course, open cans, meaning that the cup behind the driver is completely open to the world. Now, unlike the more common closed cup headphone, all of the sound in the room with you gets in, and all of the sound in the driver gets out. Thus, to enjoy open headphones, you need a quiet space where other people won't bother you and you won't bother other people. However, many audiophiles afforded such luxurious listening space prefer open headphones because they tend to yield better overall tonality and open, airy sound with a more natural and wide soundstage for an experience more like sitting in a concert hall rather than, wearing headphones. In addition to the total lack of isolation, the other major downside to open headphones is that closed cups can keep a lot of that bass energy inside the cup, giving the impression of bigger, deeper bass. So now when I say they're the most open cans I've ever heard, I mean they are the lightest, airiest, least isolating headphones I have ever heard. Firstly, there is absolutely zero isolation. Even for an open headphone, they have very little isolation. They breathe like you wish you could breathe. but you can't because your nasal passage is never quite open enough. They block absolutely nothing in or out, and it's amazing. I don't think I've ever heard a headphone that felt less like a headphone and more like I'm sitting in a concert hall. The only reflections anywhere in there seem to be off of the nice, warmly resonant wood. I keep talking about concert halls. It's not just because that's what these things sound like. It's because the kind of music you hear in a concert hall also happens to be the kind of music that makes these things shine. Now, why is that? That's because, secondly, I find these headphones to be very colored. These are headphones with a purpose. I don't currently have the equipment to measure the frequency response of headphones. By ear, I would describe them as bass shy, but extraordinarily linear through the mids. Highs are elevated somewhat, but no particularly offensive spikes. Bass. In terms of bass, when I say bass shy, I don't mean that the bass sucks. It isn't flawed, it's purposeful. When bass is bad, it sounds bad. Often because you have some peak or null somewhere, some resonance that make it sound unnatural or boomy. These seem to have a nice, gentle roll-off. It's shy. It doesn't slam. It's there, but it's not trying to show off and obstruct your perception of what I think Alex really wants you to hear, the beautiful mids. I believe the mids are the real star of this show. Mids, as they say, are where the music is. This is because this is the range that human voices fall into. It's where most of the strings are. It's where most of the brass and woodwinds are. It's where fingers spend most of the time on the piano. Most of the notes are here, in the middle. And accordingly, there's a lot that can go wrong. When the mids are too forward, it's all just too much, and sound becomes very abrasive and coarse. Spikes can result in muddiness and an awkward honkiness, or could sound tinny or crunchy. Dips or nulls in the mids can result in an unnaturalness of the timbre because, well, a chunk of a chord may be recessed or missing. Now, if you've listened to some headphones or speakers and described them this way, it was probably something going on in the mids. Because so much can go wrong, a lot of speakers and headphones are just tuned to kind of keep them all a bit recessed, yielding a somewhat V-shaped frequency response, which a lot of people tend to find enjoyable. Hyland, however, is bold and successful here. To my ear, I hear near perfect linearity through the mids, yielding an exquisitely natural and detailed presentation of voices, strings, and brass. Guitars and violins, trumpets, trombones. Just wonderful. Very organic timbre, revealing the true in-the-room sound of these instruments. The highs. I mentioned the highs seem a bit elevated. I assume to really bring out that air, that roominess and definition. At the same time, they're not particularly violent with your earballs. I think with some music, I might want to EQ out a bit of the edginess you get in the 4 to 5 kilohertz range, which can sort of sound like when you hit the sharpen function too many times in Photoshop and you kind of get those sharp, kind of overly unnatural edges between shapes and colors. I'd also experimented a bit EQing down at 10 kilohertz to dull that kind of poke your earball piercing just a little bit. That's just a little bit too much when the hi-hat hits, and it's just a tad. I just EQ'd it just a little bit and it was fine. So ear pad rolling, as I mentioned, they come with an extra set of ear pads. You get the, default Grado style over-ear ear pads that are maybe a denser foam compared to the on-ears. The on-ears are really just maybe the most basic foam that you ever see. The over-ear ones, that's a dense, hard foam. It's substantial. These probably do a little bit more reflecting, keeping stuff in than these, a little bit more absorption than these really, really light material. Now, on the whole, the ear pads don't dramatically change the sound signature. The bigger ones, however, do give you a bit more bass maybe a bit more warmth and a noticeably wider soundstage. Perhaps overall, maybe a bit more airy and open sounding. The on-ear pads, again, they don't dramatically change the character of the sound, but it is a different listening experience. It seems like it's a much more close-in, intimate listening experience. Like you're putting your ear right up to the guitar, really letting you hang on that every detail, filling your head with music. Now, I'll say that while I found the over-ear pads to be, I'll just say, infinitely comfortable, meaning I don't think I would ever have any discomfort, no matter how long I wore them, I found myself not wanting to use the on-ears for too long. As you can see, there really isn't much space here going on. The metal grate in front of the driver really just comes right up into about halfway, sits about halfway through this little foam pad. So that metal grate is really right up against the pin of your ear. It's touching skin. Now, I believe the production model, this is a pre-production model, I guess, or not a prototype, but an early build. The final model will come with a piece of foam, a little foam insert that you can put in there to probably protect your ear a little bit. This particular pair did not have it, and maybe that helps a little bit with the comfort. So, overall listening experience. These are a very unique headphone indeed. Most of the time, I just wanted to sit back, relax to some ECM jazz playlist on Tidal. I'm not really into classical much, but I found myself really enjoying the 2L test recordings on Tidal, which is also a bunch of classical, which, I don't know, I'm not a classical guy. But I loved it. Sounds great. Trumpets and violins especially are so delightful on these headphones. It really reminded me of back in the day when I was living in Japan. I used to go to weekend performances by the Sapporo Symphony. I would sit in this just magnificent concert hall, and it's just, because those symphony halls are designed with acoustics in mind. There were no harmful reflections at all. It just sounds so airy and wonderful. That's what it reminded me of. I'll tell you what else. I think these headphones also work surprisingly well with the kind of music you'd expect to hear at some dive bar. Grunge, fuzz rock, classic punk, rock and blues like Cream, George Thorogood, SRV, and The Doors. Maybe even some sludgy metal. Basically anything that somehow sounds better when it's reflecting off the filthy floors and splintered walls of some basement venue or honky-tonk bar room. They just give you all that grit and grime. The sound is raw, unprocessed, unrefined, and excellent. That being said, I can't say that I'd want to listen to much else with it. There isn't enough bass for hip-hop or EDM, and if there is too much going on upstairs in whatever it is you're listening to, I think the highs are going to be a bit unpleasant. Generally speaking, if what you're listening to has a U-shaped frequency distribution, that is minimal bass and minimal highs, and most of the energy is in the middle, in the mids, then I think these are going to sound fantastic. Otherwise, maybe not. So, conclusions. I kind of love these, and I kind of don't. I wouldn't say it's a love-hate thing, but because of their distinctive sonic character, these don't make a very good general-purpose headphone. In other words, these probably shouldn't be the only pair of headphones you own, unless you have a very narrow range of tastes. I mean, if you only listen to jazz or classical, I think you'd love them. You're not really going to want to listen to anything else. However, would I still recommend them for someone with more eclectic tastes like me? Well, yes, but this is just a headphone to have in your collection. These aren't going to be your daily drivers. But when these guys are in their wheelhouse, wow, so damn good. So, Seltzertronics recommends with caveats. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram and join me on the Sonic Visions Discord and web forums linked below. Take care.